For the latest on the campaign in Durham, Ontario, we turn to another vet of the Canadian Forces. He happens to be the Conservative candidate in Durham in this by-election. His name is Aaron O'Toole. Mr. O'Toole, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Charles.
Your take on the Liberal campaign to try to recruit veterans?
Well, I think, like many people, I was shocked and profoundly disappointed that the Liberal campaign and the organizers sent from Ottawa would exploit Remembrance Week and Remembrance Day to score political points, to raise money for their campaign. And like many people who served, I served in the Canadian Forces for 12 years, I was disappointed because Remembrance Week has always been about honoring our veterans and not about politicizing the ceremonies or the imagery. So it's very unfortunate they seem to have doubled down on this strategy.
Campaign manager was implying that the veterans don't have enough money for their own burials. Your take on that?
Well, the government in the last number of years has put a lot of new money into Veterans Affairs, Veterans Independence Program, and programs like the Last Post Fund need to be reviewed every few years to make sure. You know, all parties really want to make sure we do what's best for our veterans. And Prime Minister Harper knows that I've served in military. He knows that after serving, I've actually been involved in a number of veterans groups. I've raised and helped raise millions of dollars for military families and veterans. And he wants my viewpoints and my experience, my track record in his caucus. And this is what I've been talking about, but I tried to not raise any of it during Remembrance Week.
We had the head of Wounded Warriors on. You know him very well, and he said to us, while he may not be crazy about the timing of how the Liberals did what they did, he feels it's very, very important that a good dialogue take place in Durham and elsewhere in the country in terms of how veterans are treated. And when I asked him for specifics, he specifically referred to the disability business, a veteran getting a check of just under $300,000 lump sum for disability as opposed to a pension for a lifetime. Your take on that, sir?
I think in recent years there has been a move to a lump sum, and perhaps there's ways we can look at giving that as an option, or probably giving some advice or counseling in relation to making sure that the money is put to best use. I think we've got to make sure we invest in programs that support our veterans, and I think the government has been trying to do that. They're also trying to grow the Veterans Affairs Ministry to address the new veterans as well, the young 20 and 30-year-olds from Afghanistan, as well as supporting our Korean and World War II vets. I think we can never do enough, and I've worked tirelessly in the last number of years as a volunteer, helped create the True Patriot Love Foundation. I've worked with Veterans Affairs on the Helmets to Hard Hats program, which is engaging vets that get out of the military now in employment opportunities. I've also worked with them on the Veterans Transition Program, which is supported by Veterans Affairs and the Minister, that's helping deal with operational stress injuries faced by a lot of our veterans from Afghanistan. So, look, at our gala in Toronto for True Patriot Love in our first year, all party leaders attended. Really, veterans have traditionally been not used in the way they have been as a political ploy. It's really about making sure we're doing our best for those who have served us.
Mr. O'Toole, when I talk to veterans, here's what I get from them. They give the Harper government an A, sometimes an A+, for how they have been supporting our troops in Afghanistan and elsewhere. But they give him somewhat less than A, sometimes C and less than that, for how he's been supporting veterans. What grade would you like to give the Harper government for their support of veterans?
Well, look, Charles, in my time in active service years ago, I flew on the Sea King helicopter. The Sea King was, you recall, canceled by Prime Minister Chrétien. The Liberals have a track record of not giving our men and women in uniform the equipment they need. And I think your A grade reflects a sea change that the Harper government has brought to making sure our young men and women who go on the line for us are given the tools they need. Veterans Affairs, I think we need to do more. But I also think that there has been a real tangible improvement, maybe not perfection, but a tangible improvement, moving a bureaucracy that was only used to dealing with veterans from World War II and Korea And they're trying to also address veterans from Afghanistan. So I mentioned a couple of the programs, Helmets to Hard Hats, the Veterans Transition Program. Those are new within the last few years, investments by the government. There's also been the Veterans Independence Program, which has received almost $300 million in the last few years, helping Korean and World War II vets' families have independence later in life. So I think we can always do more, and that's going to be my mission in Parliament if the voters of Durham send me. And I have a track record since leaving uniform myself of fighting for veterans, and I think that's why the Prime Minister wants me on his team.
Mr. O'Toole, thank you very much. Good luck with your by-election.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Charles.
Erin O'Toole, Conservative candidate in Durham, Ontario.